Hey guys, it's Licious Kid from Climax Combo, and today I have my updated deck profile for Nisekoi. It's been updated for the emergency ban list that came up a couple weeks ago, and of course because the ban list is effective now, I have to change my deck accordingly. So yeah, this is a deck profile for that. The deck is red, yellow, green, blue. So it is quad color, yes. And yeah, if you want to see the deck in action, we will have links in the description below. But before I get to the deck profile, I would like to explain what the ban list is exactly, in case for people who don't know. And you know, for if you guys don't know, then you guys will see really good cards missing in the deck, and you'll be asking why. So before we get started, I'm gonna go over the ban list first really quickly. First off is this level 3 Marika. This card has been limited to 1. So now every Nisekoi deck can only run one of this card. So yeah, that's the first one. But on top of that, we now have a choice of 3 between these cards right here. If you guys don't know what the choice of 3 is that out of these 3 cards, you can only choose to run one of them in your deck. However, the one you choose, you can run to as many copies as you like. So in this case, it is the level 0 Raku Assist, the 2/1 free refresh Onodera, and lastly is the Pendant of Promise events themselves. So for example, if you choose to run the Pendant of Promises, you cannot run the other 2. Even though you only choose to run one of this, you still can't run the other 2 because you chose this as your choice of 3. If you know what I mean. So example, if you choose to do Raku, you could run 4 of him, but you can't run any of these cards. So that is the choice of 3. It's pretty self-explanatory what you should be choosing out of these 3. Of course, you should be choosing the Pendant of Promise because the entire deck revolves around the Pendant of Promises themselves. So for my deck, I chose the Pendants of Promise as my choice of 3. All of these limitations that I just explained to you before can be played around if your entire deck is only has Marikas in their name, but I'm not going to get into that because my deck is not following that condition. So just keep in mind that for my choice of 3, I chose the Pendants of Promise. And with that out of the way, I will now get to the deck profile. So first off, I have 3 of these level 0 Chitoges. They're 0015. What they do is they're level 0 Suicider. And also at the beginning of your opponent's attack phase, you can move her to the center of the front row. So she's like a pseudo runner because she can only run to the front row, but she's also level 0 Suicider, so it's a really good card and definitely probably the best level 0 in Nisekoi. So 3 of those. Next up, we have 4 of these PR Chitoges. If you guys don't recognize what this card is, can't really blame you because this card, you cannot get this card from the booster. You have to get it in Japan. It was like a Blu-ray promotion. I'm not exactly sure how you got this card exactly, but yeah, it is a PR. It's pretty difficult to get. So if you don't have this card, then I will explain alternatives for this card later. But as for what this card does, it's a 00500. What it does, it's a 500 in front assist, and when you play Climax, you can choose one of your key characters and give it plus 1k. The entire deck is key, so do keep that in mind. 4 of those. Next up, we have 3 of these Chitoges. They're 0025. What she does is that if you have 1 or less characters on the field, she gets plus 1k hand and hand encore. Pretty simple, but not bad at all. Next up, we have 2 of these Onoderas. They're 0025. What they do is on attack, if you have 5 or more cards in hand, you can choose to give a key character plus 15 until the end of the turn. Next up, 3 of these Tachibanas. They're 002k. What she does is when she attacks, you can give one of your key characters plus 1k until the end of the turn. And she has another effect of you could pay 1, tap 2, brainstorm 4. For every climax you hit, search your deck for a key character and add it to your hand. Next up, another PR. This is the booster box promo, or one of the booster box promos. It's the 00 Tachibana. She's 1k, and what she does is on play, you can look at the top card of your deck and either leave it there or put it to the waiting room. And she has a pay 1 bond for the Pendant of Promises event themselves, which is right here. I'll explain what the Pendants of Promises do at level 1, but she does have a pay 1 bond for these. And lastly, for level 0, we have these 00 Tachibanas. They're 0015. What she does is on play, same thing as the PR, you can look at the top card of your deck and either leave it there or put it to the waiting room. And then she has another effect of on play. You can discard a climax, and if you do, salvage a character from your waiting room and add it to your hand. And that is all the level 0s. That's 3, 7, 10, 12, 15, 16, 17, 18. Oh wow. That's a lot more level 0s than I thought I ran. Oh well. On to level 1. We have 3 of these Tachibanas. They're 105Ks, but what they do is they climax combo with the gate right here. When they reverse an opponent's character and you have a gate in the climax zone, you can salvage a key character. Next up, we have these 1-0 Chitoges. They're 1045. What she does is if you have a Pendant of Promise in memory, she gets plus 2k. So she becomes a 1065 if you have one pendant in memory. At least one pendant in memory. Next up, we have this 1-1 Onodera. She's 4-5. What she does is she's a level assist in front. However, when you have a Pendant of Promise in memory, she gains the effect of you could tap 2 characters and to give one of your other characters the following effect of when that character reverses an opponent in battle, gain a blind stock. So, yeah. Next up, we have this 1-0 Ruri. She's just a 1500 vanilla backup. I definitely want to replace this with the PR Onodera one. I just haven't had a chance to get that, but gonna replace it soon. Next up, the Pendant of Promises themselves. I run 2 of this red one. It's the 1-1 red Pendant of Promise. What this does is when you play this pendant, you must rest 2 characters. And if you do, you get to salvage 2 key characters in your waiting room, add it to your hand, and then discard a card. And then this card itself goes into memory. And then I run 2 of the 1-1 yellow Pendant of Promise. When you play this event, you can search your deck for a key character, add it to your hand, and then this card sends itself into memory. So that is my level 1 lineup. That's 3, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 13 level 1s. Next up is level 2. There's not much at all. First up is this 2-1 2k Onodera. What she does is, first of all, she's a 3k backup. A pay 1 3k backup, I should say. And then her other effect is she has a climax phase change into the level 3 Onodera right here. Climax phase change is a standard climax phase change. Beginning of your climax phase, you can pay 2, discard a card. If you do, send this card into waiting room, and then play the level 3 Onodera in the original slot she was in. I'll explain what the level 3 Onodera does when it is level 3. And then I run one of this Onodera. It's a 2-1 2k. What it does is, first of all, it's a global 1k for key characters, which is the entire deck. And it has another effect of you could, or every time you use a startup, you can give one of your key characters plus 1k until the end of the turn. And lastly, I run this one, another backup. It's a 2-1 2-5 Chitoge. First of all, it's a pay 1 2-5 backup. And it has another effect of when you use this backup, you may pay the additional cost of pay 2, send one of your characters to waiting room. If you do, choose an opponent's character that's higher than their level and send it to the waiting room. So it's anti-change. It's a little heavy because the total you have to pay 3, and you have to send one character on your side of the field to the waiting room to get the anti-change off. But however, in certain situations, it is very good to do so. So yeah, that's why I run 1, because it's matchup dependent. And that is all for level 2. That's only 4 cards. And because of that, or the reason I run so little level 2s is because of this card right here. It's a 3295 Onodera. What she does is, if you have 2 Pendants of Promise in memory, she loses 1 level in your hand, so she can't come out at level 2. Also, when she comes from hand to field, you can search your deck for a key character, add it to your hand. And lastly, if you have 2 more key characters on the field, she gets plus 1k until the end. If you have 2 more key characters, she gets plus 1k, which is always going to happen. So she's essentially a 10-5 base. A really good card. Next up are 3 of these other Onodetas. This was the change target for the changer. What she does is, when she's played from hand to stage, you must rest the character. And she has another effect of when she's played from hand to stage, or via change, she heals. And lastly, she climax combos with the gold bar right here. When she attacks with the gold bar, search 2 key characters in your deck and add it to your hand. And lastly, for level 3 is one of these Tachibanas. Like I said, because of the ban list, you can only run one of these now, and this is the only one I run. So it's a 3/2 10k. What this card does is, if you have 2 pendants in memory, she gains the following effect of whenever she declares an attack, your opponent takes 1 damage. And she has another effect. This second effect is not tied to her recollection, so you can always use the second effect. Her second effect is when she reverses an opponent's character in battle, you can pay 2, discard 3. If you do, put this card back to stand. And yeah, this card is just broken. So definitely good reason why it's at 1. But at least they let us still run 1. So I guess we can't complain too much. And that's all for level 3. That's 3, 6, 7 level 3s. And lastly, 4 gold bars for the level 3 Onodeta, and 4 gates for the level 1 Tachibana. And that is all for my climaxes. On to how I play the deck level by level. Level 0 is very lackluster and boring. Level 0 is definitely Nisekoi's weakest position, or weakest level. Level 0, you want to beat up your opponent's level 0s with a combination of these 2. If you can't kill it, suicide into it with the Chitoge. And if you can kill it, why not do it with this one? Of course, you want to at least get one of these Chitoge assists in the back row. So if you have a setup like this, she's a 004k hand encore. Nothing too impressive, but it gets the job done. Of course, this Chitoge is a pseudo runner, and if you can run, you should definitely do so. Like if they're going to declare an attack into this, you should move it to the center. That way you take the extra damage, and then next turn you can move it back and then reverse it on yourself. Instead of letting them reverse it into it, you should try reversing into them. That way you take the extra damage, so you can hit level 1 faster, and hitting level 1 faster is usually always a good thing, especially in this deck. So definitely, you know, try to take the direct hit when you can with the PR or with the Suicider. And honestly, the rest of the level 0s are just utility cards. Like all these level 0s are just utility, not really important to the foundation of level 0. The ideal back row is probably something like this at level 0. Try to get a Tachibana Brainstorm out in the back row. It doesn't do anything in the back, yes. However, having access to Brainstorm all the time is really good. So if you can, try to keep one in the back row, because it's really good. And that's all there is for level 0. The basics. Just try to trade effectively, build up stock, and try to generate a lot of hand size. And of course, once you hit level 1, and of course, if you did hit level 1 faster than your opponent, thanks to the runner, you can start climax comboing with the level 1 Tachibana. Whenever you can climax combo successfully with the Tachibana, you probably should, because you know, you get to break even, or plus if you have multiple Tachibanas, which is really good. Of course, the level 0 PR Chitoge does help you accomplish that, because when you play a climax, in this case the gate, the Chitoge can give a character plus 1k, so you can pump the Tachibana more power, allowing her to successfully reverse cards. Of course, starting at level 1, you definitely want to try to get a couple pendants out into memory, either the yellow or the red ones. Usually the yellow ones. The yellow ones are really good, because there's really never a bad time to play them, because why not search out a card? Searching out a card is never a bad thing. It's always good. There's always something you should grab. So definitely the yellow event is really good. And yeah, try to play maybe a yellow event out at least 1. You definitely want to play at least 1. That way your level 1 Chitoges are active. If you have one of these in memory, then these become 1065s, which is really, really good. And let's say you have something in the back row like a 500 assist, they become 107Ks for no cost, and it can be very difficult for some decks to deal with. And overall, it makes them extremely cost effective. 107Ks, can't complain with that. So definitely try to get at least 1 pendant out to memory, so that way you can get your level 1s active. Oh, I almost forgot. Since the deck is quad color, I will explain how I level up my cards accordingly. I almost forgot. Level 0. You definitely want to level up either a red or a yellow. Oh, let me... Definitely try to level up a red or a yellow at level 1. When you hit level 1, try to level up one of these two colors because your entire level 1 game is red and yellow. So don't level up a blue because it's not going to do you anything, and don't level up a green because, like I said, it's not going to really do you much of anything. So definitely just according what's to your hand. If you have a lot of yellows in your hand, level up the red and then clock yourself the yellow next turn. That way you get both your colors active, allowing you to play all your level 1 cards. And vice versa. If you have a lot of red cards in your hand, level up the yellow. That way, clock yourself the red next turn, so that way you can get your level 1 active, and it should be good times. I do run one of these Onodeta level assist. She is green, so even though you level up yellow and then you clock yourself red, you might not be able to play the level 1 Onodeta because she is green. But honestly, there's no real rush to get her out. If you do have the opportunity to play her, then you should. But don't feel forced to play the level 1 level assist because it's only level 1. So a level assist at level 1 is, it's not going to get you much value. However, you can start tapping her. But the earlier you do get her out, the better, because you can tap her once you get one pendant to memory, which, like I said, is really easy. With the yellow pendant, you can search out one of these. The earlier you get her out, the better, because you can start tapping to get her effect off, giving your characters the ability to reverse and gain stock. So don't feel forced to, but if you can, do try to get the level assist out. But it's not necessary. There's I won plenty of games never pulling out the level assist. So yeah, like I said, level 1, try to get yellow and red, and then on to level 2. Level 2, definitely try to clock yourself a red, so that way you have both red and yellow in your level ups slot. Level 2, definitely try to get a second Pendant of Promise in memory if you have not done so already. Getting out 2 at level 1 is good, but at level 2, try to get 2 Pendants of Promise in memory. That way you can start playing your level 3 Onodeta. The level 3 Onodeta is awesome because she pluses you by searching out a key character. She's big body because she's 10-5 base essentially. And yeah, that's, what more do you need? She's just awesome. So try to get her out by getting 2 Pendants of Promises of Memory. And if you're winning really hard, you can even search out another Onodeta. This Onodeta searches out this Onodeta, and you have a big wall of fatties, and they can't do anything, and then they'll just cry. So yeah, Onodeta is really awesome. So that's why you should get 2 Pendants of Promise in memory by level 2 to get these up and active. And that's all there really is for level 2. There's nothing else special. It's just a continuation of level 1. Just use Onodeta, use Chitoge, and Tachibana combo when needed, so you can plus. I do run the changer into the level 3 Onodeta. However, you don't really need to do it because there's no real point doing it because you already have this level 3 Onodeta. Why play an expensive level 3? Because this one total costs 3 and you have to discard a card to get this out early. This card only costs us 2 and it comes out early and it's higher power and it pluses you on play. So you don't really ever need to change. With all the games I've played with this deck, I've never changed once, and you don't have to because of this, but it's there for you in case you ever need to maybe discard a card to get rid of climaxes in your hand, get rid of a climax that's deep. Just keeping in mind that it is there for you, but you don't have to do it. And for level 2, even though I generally level up red and yellow, to play the level 3 Onodeta, I usually just keep 2 blues in my hand. Like usually I keep a level 3 Onodeta in my hand, and another blue card in my hand, like let's say maybe the 2-1 assist, or heck, even another level 3 Onodeta, or even the brainstorm. So usually at level 2 in my hand, I usually have a level 3 Onodeta and another blue card out. So that way when I hit level 2, I have red and yellow in my level up zone. I just clock myself a blue, and then I just play the level 3 Onodeta the turn I want to do it. So because this is the only blue card that's not a level 0 in the deck. So the only reason you want blue in your level up zone or your clock zone is to play the level 3. So when you want to play the level 3, just clock a blue and then play the level 3. Shouldn't be too hard, and it usually works out almost all the time for me. So yeah, definitely that's how I play level 2. Red, yellow, clock a blue in my hand, play level 3, and it should be good times. And then on to level 3, you want to level up a green, so you can get the level 3 Onodetas up and active. The level 3 Onodetas are good because they can combo with the gold bar. I really like the gold bar combo because it pluses you, yes, but that's not really a big deal. The greatest part about the climax combo is that it searches out 2 cards in your deck, meaning that it can compress you by 2 cards, meaning you have a chance of taking 2 less damage, which is really good. And if you have multiple Onodetas out, you can effectively, like if with this setup you compress 4, meaning you have 4 less damage you can take in your deck, which I think is awesome. I think it's a lot of fun, so that's why I run the gold bar combo. And yeah, level 3 is just try to heal and compress with these level 3 Onodetas. And when you want to go for the kill, play, where is she? The best card. I can't find her.
Good.
There she is. Play the beast, Tachibana, because she's awesome. And even though you can only run 1 in the deck, if you play it properly, she can still win you a lot of games. So, yep, Tachibana is still here for you to win games. You can, even though like you're not going to go for the game-winning turn, you play her, you can still play her and next turn salvage her. The deck has a lot of salvage, like the red Pendant of Promise. You have the level 0 Tachibanas. You can even, like if you refresh and she dies and then you refresh, you can search them out with the Brainstorm or these. A lot of ways to get her back, so don't be too lenient, but if you know you can salvage her next turn if she dies, you can, and then just play her again next turn. So yeah, Tachibana here for you when you want to go for the game-winning turn. And that is how I play the deck level by level. And finally, on to alternatives, because I'm sure a lot of people don't want to play quad color Nisekoi, and I don't blame them. The quad color is extremely unnecessary, and it'll probably be better if it was dual color or tri-color, but I don't know, I'm having a lot of fun with the quad color. When I was playing it before the ban list, I was playing red, blue, and it was getting pretty dull just playing those, so having quad color makes the deck more fun for me, and yeah, I think it still works out for me, so I'm having a lot of fun with it. But I'll give you alternatives in case you don't want to run quad color. So for Nisekoi, I would recommend at least running red and blue. Red and blue is pretty much the core colors for Nisekoi because you want to have level 3 Tachibana and you want to have level 3 Onodera. These cards are pretty much, this card makes the game ending stupid, and the level 3 Onodera makes the deck really consistent. So, and all the other red and blue cards are really good too. So definitely I would say red and blue is the core color for the deck. So the question is, do you want to go dual color or tri-color? If you want to go tri-color, then you have to choose between red, blue, yellow or red, blue, green. And I would say if you want to go red, blue, yellow, or I would say the reason you want to run yellow is because pretty much of these cards right here, the Chitoge is really good, and where is it? The yellow Pendant of Promise. These the level 1 Chitoge is really good because she's just super cost effective. She's a 1065 for God's sake, which is insane for pretty much no downside. That's really good. And the yellow Pendant of Promise I personally really like. It's probably my favorite Pendant of Promise because there's no real bad time to play this card. Unlike the blue Pendant of Promise, the red Pendant of Promise, those are situational and you can't always play them. And if you do want to play them in bad times, you might not get the full benefit out of them, or it might just be really awkward to do so. But with the yellow Pendant of Promise, there's never really a bad time to do so. So that's why I really like the yellow Pendant of Promise, because it's always good, and it's Chitoge, and yeah. So that's why I like yellow. So if you want to keep yellow in the deck for these two cards, a couple other cards you can add is the 2-1 Chitoge. This card is pretty good as well. It's a 2-1-7-5. However, what it does is for every Pendant of Promise in your memory, this card gains plus 1k. So at level 2, you definitely want to have at least 2 Pendants of Promises into memory. So if you have 2 Pendants of Promise, she's a 2195, which is already really good. And if you have 3 Pendants of Promise in memory, she's a 2110-5, which is retarded. And then at 2111, if you have 4 Pendants of Promise, she's a 2111-5, which is unfair. So definitely, I think it's a good card to consider. And of course, the level 3 Chitoge herself. What she does is on play, she gains Flare Trigger. And she climax combos with the 2K1 right here. Not too sure on this effect because I've never done it myself, but I believe when you play the 2K1, you get to search the top 4 cards of your library, choose 1 card, add it to your hand, the rest go to the waiting room, and she gets plus 1500 until the end of the turn. This card is honestly meh. It's whatever. It's not really a bad card, but it's not really a good card. And before, the card was overshadowed by the level 3 Tachibana, because there was no real point in playing this card when level 3 Tachibana was a much better game ender. However, now that you're limited to only 1 of these, perhaps the level 3 Chitoge can have a spot in Nisekoi decks. So if you're going to run red, yellow, blue, you might want to consider a couple of these level 3 Chitoges for extra game ending effects. And yellow in general is not a really bad color either, so maybe it's going to be good now, who knows, we'll just have to see, but give it a try. Especially now that we only have 1 Tachibana. And of course, you can try a couple Wind Triggers as well, because Wind Trigger is always good. And yeah, these are pretty much the key cards for yellow that I haven't already showed you in my deck. So if you want to run yellow for these cards, then yeah, you can definitely do so. On to green. The reason you want to run green is essentially just the level 3 Onodeta combo. Boom and boom. The level 3 Onodeta combo, I think it's really good. Like I said, compressed by 2, and that's just that in itself is just really good. The gold bar is not that either, because you could constantly do it and just constantly compress and constantly annoy your opponent and survive. And yeah, she heals as well. She's a really good healer, so this is the reason why you want to run green. So perhaps the comparison you can make is, do you want to be more defensive by running green and more compressed? Or if you want to be more offensive with yellow by running stronger level 1s and stronger level 2s. So yeah, that's pretty much the trade-off, I would say. And if you want to add more green to the deck, a couple cards you can consider is cards like these. I'm not a big fan of this card, however I do see some people run it, and I'm sure it's not a bad card. It's a 0025. What it does is, on play, you can pay 1, discard a card. If you do, search your library for a key character, add it to your hand. It's a generic searcher, but yeah, it's a generic searcher, so nothing's wrong with it. I just don't think it's necessary in Nisekoi, so that's why I personally don't like it, but it's not bad. Also, this Onodeta is not bad. It's a 1045. She has Clock Encore, and what she does is, on attack, you can reveal the top card of your deck. If that card is a key character, this card gains plus 2k until the end of the turn, so she's a 1065. Not a bad card either, and definitely a solid level 1 attacker. And of course, the green Pendant of Promise itself, it's not really bad. It's not the greatest. What this green pendant does, it's a 1/1 event. When you play this Pendant of Promise, choose one of your key characters. It gets plus 3/5 until the end of your opponent's next turn, and then this card goes into memory. Probably the least popular Pendant of Promise. I don't see many players run this, but it's still playable. I've seen a couple lists run this card. It's playable, and if you're running green, then you could give it a try, because it's still a Pendant of Promise, and it gives a lot of power. So definitely, I would consider these other green cards if you want to add more green to the deck. But of course, you don't have to add red or green to the deck. You can just keep it dual color and still have a lot of success with it, in my opinion. And if you want to add more blue to the deck, you can consider... 5 seconds. What?
I need to stop it.
Okay. Okay, if you want to add more blue to the deck, you can add a couple of these Onodetas. This card is really good as well. It's a 104k. She has Clock Encore, and she gets 500 for every other key character you have on the field. So with a full field, she's a 106k with Clock Encore, which is very solid. She even has a Bonder, the Ruri. She's a pay 1 bond for this Onodeta, and her other effect is not really necessary. However, what it does is you can tap her to give an Onodeta plus 500 power for the turn. Basically, it's a Bonder for the 106k. You know, if you want to run red-blue, then you can definitely consider these 2 cards, because it gives you more hand size, and this card's a solid attacker, and it sticks around, and it's just really good. And of course, the blue Pendant of Promise. Definitely one of the more popular Pendants of Promise events. It's a 113k backup essentially, but of course, since it's an event, you can play it on your own turn. And yeah, That's all it really is. I'm not too big of a fan of the 3K backup myself. A lot of times I find it difficult to pull off because sometimes your opponent would just get too much or too high power for the 3K backup to even matter. And if you can never pull off the 3K backup like well, then it kind of just becomes a dead card. It just kind of becomes awkward, just lingers in your hand, doesn't do much for you. And I don't know, I'm just not a big fan of this Pendant of Promise myself. So yeah, I personally don't really like it, but a lot of players run this, and it's still pretty good. It's a 3K backup, so can't go wrong. So if you're going to run blue, definitely consider the blue Pendant of Promise. And of course, if you're going to be running blue, red-blue, the two healers of choice would probably be these two level 3s right here. The level 3 Tachibana. She 3-2 10k, she combos with the pants. If you're going red-blue, you should probably just run 4 gates, 4 pants. What she does is she combos with first of all, Tachibana heals. And also on attack, if you have the pants, you can draw 2 cards, then discard 2 cards, and then she gains the following effect of the character in front of this gets -1 soul until the end of your opponent's next turn. Not the greatest climax combo. It doesn't plus the -1 soul half the time is a downside. But you know, if you're gonna run if you're running red-blue, you should probably run 4 gates and 4 of these pants. And if you're going to run the pants, you might as well be running her respective climax combo, because it's not the worst thing ever. And it's still a healer, so, you know, definitely consider these in your red-blue builds. Of course, this Chitoge is also here. She's 3-2 10k, she also heals. However, what she does is you can pay 1, tap 2 characters, and then you can give this Chitoge the following effect of she gets plus 2k, and when she reverses an opponent character in battle, you can put that card to the top of your opponent's deck. The only problem with this card is the fact that you have to tap 2 characters, and you know, if you tap 2 characters, you can't brainstorm, you can't do the red Pendant of Promise, you can't use one of these 2 effects, and that's a pretty big deal. Level 3, I usually constantly brainstorm. And if you're constantly brainstorming, you can't ever really use her effect. And then if you can't use her effect, she's essentially a vanilla level 3 healer. But it's not bad. Definitely not bad still. And she synergizes with the level 3 Tachibana as well, since she puts something back to the top of the deck. The Tachibana can attack, dealing 1 guaranteed damage. So yeah, definitely not a bad healer. So red-blue, consider these 2, one of the 2, or a combination of the 2 as your healers. And if you want to add more red goodness to the deck, you can consider this level 1 Suicider. Or level 1 Suicide. It's a 1035. On play, you reveal the top card of your deck. This card effect is mandatory. If that card is a key character, add it to your hand, discard a card. And if you have a Pendant of Promise in memory, she becomes a level 1 Suicider. So definitely a solid card. And a good hand filter. So if you're running red, if you're running red-blue, or even in any build, you can definitely consider this level 1 Suicider, because it's just really good. Next up is the 2-1-4-5 Tachibana. She's a level assist, and she has another effect of on play. You can clock yourself to salvage a key character in your waiting room and add it to your hand. So it's the only other level assist that's not the green one. So if you're not running green, you should definitely consider running 1 or 2 of these Tachibanas. And her second effect is not bad in the early stages of level 2. So yeah, definitely if you're you can consider these red cards. And I guess lastly will be this card. This is a 104k. What it does, it's a 500 global for key characters, and also has another effect of when you have 2 Pendances of Promises in memory, she also gains another effect of she becomes a 500 in front assist. So in the early stages, she's a 10 500 global, or she's a 500 global assist, which is already pretty good. And then later into the game, she can become a 1000 in front assist and still be 500 in the other side. So definitely a solid card you can consider into your build. And I would probably say it's a good replacement for people that don't own the 10P or the 00PR. Before the 00PR was always pretty good. However, not everyone chose to run it because of the level 0 Raku. of this guy right here. This guy was really good, just amazing card. And, you know, a lot of people who didn't own this Chitoge would resort to running the Raku. And the Raku was just really good. Like, even if you do own this, a lot of people chose to run this instead because he just makes the deck super consistent. But now that he's gone, the next best thing you have is probably the level 0 Chitoge. But it's a expensive card and it's hard to get. So I imagine most players don't own this card. So I would say the next best thing would be this Chitoge. And even if you do own this level 0 Chitoge, you can still consider this level 1 assist, because the level 1 assist is still, it's not bad at all. It's a pretty good card. So I would say this is the next best assist that's not this card here. And of course, lastly, or other cards to mention is the Chibi Onodera and the Chibi Chitoge. They're the other box PRs, that's not the level 0 Tachibana. I don't own any of them, and the prices on those have skyrocketed, so I don't really plan on buying them anymore. But the other chibis, like there's the Chibi Tachibana, Chibi Onodera, Chibi Chitoge, all of them are really good. And if you do own a couple of them, you can consider running any of those in any build, because they just make the deck more consistent now that Raku's gone. So I would personally run 2 chibis. It doesn't matter what chibis, it could be one of these, one of the other ones, doesn't matter. I would consider running 2 chibis. But I don't own 2 chibis, so I just only have 1 in the deck. So yeah, if you have 2, I would say 2 is a good number. 1 is also a good number. If you don't have any, it's going to be a little difficult. I would highly recommend at least buying 1 chibi of any kind. Probably the Chibi Tachibana. It's probably the best one. But the other 2 aren't bad either. So if you can get your hands on chibis, do so. And yeah. And now that is all for this deck profile. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I know it was a long video. There's a lot to talk about. But yeah, I guess some final thoughts. Even though the deck did get hit by the ban list, I still think the deck is super playable. I'm still having a lot of success with the deck. And the deck is just still really solid. There's just so much utility in the deck. You can salvage, you can brainstorm, plus search, game end, search, search. And there's probably even more. Oh yeah, the 1-0 combo. There's a lot of cards. There's so much good utility cards in the deck that are just really good on their own too. That makes the deck super consistent still, and I think it's still super good. Even though, despite the hit, I still think I'll definitely still see Nisekoi still topping in the future. So definitely not bad at all. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this deck profile, and until next time.